Welcome to the Conversations Across Cultures podcast, where we delve into the nuances of communication in a globalized world. Today's topic is how to talk with foreign clients in the USA with confidence, and we'll sprinkle in some humor to keep things lively. I'm your host, Sarah, and joining me today is communication expert Mark. Mark, thank you for joining us today. Thanks for having me, Sarah. I'm excited to dive into this topic. Let's start with the basics. What are some key strategies for talking with foreign clients in the USA with confidence? Well, Sarah, the first thing to remember is to approach the conversation with an open mind and genuine curiosity about the other person's culture. Show respect for their customs and traditions, and don't be afraid to ask questions if you're unsure about something. Also, it's important to be mindful of your body language and tone of voice, as these can convey a lot of information to the other person. That's great advice, Mark. Can you give us an example of how to navigate a conversation with a foreign client? Sure. Let's say you're meeting with a client from Japan. You might start by addressing them with their title and last name, such as Mr. Tanaka. Then, you could express your gratitude for the opportunity to meet with them and ask about their journey to the USA. By showing interest in their experience, you're building rapport and making them feel more comfortable. That makes sense. What about humor? How can we incorporate humor into these conversations without offending anyone? Humor can be a great way to break the ice and lighten the mood, but it's important to tread carefully, especially when dealing with cultural differences. One approach is to use self-deprecating humor, where you poke fun at yourself rather than others. For example, you could laugh about your struggles with pronouncing certain words in their language or share a funny anecdote about a cultural faux pas you've made in the past. Just be sure to gauge the other person's reaction and adjust accordingly. That's a great tip, Mark. Can you share an example of how you've used humor in your own interactions with foreign clients? Absolutely. I once had a meeting with a client from France who was very formal and reserved. To lighten the mood, I decided to tell a joke about my own experiences trying to learn French. I said something like, "I've been trying to learn French for years, but I still can't get the hang of it. Every time I try to speak, I end up ordering a croissant instead of asking for directions." Luckily, my client found it amusing, and it helped to break down some of the barriers between us. That's a great example of how humor can be used to connect with people from different cultures. Thank you for sharing, Mark. My pleasure, Sarah. Remember, communication is all about building relationships, and humor can be a powerful tool in that process. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you to our guest, Mark, for sharing his insights, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time for another episode of Conversations Across Cultures. Until then, keep talking and keep connecting. Goodbye.